In the heart of Durango, José Guardado doesn't make mezcal. He forges it. Every ember, every cut of agave carries the weight of generations who bled before their craft. Lumbres isn't built for trends. It's built from tradition for those who still honor the fire. This is the spirit of endurance, the proof of patience, and the taste of truth. This is Jose Guardado, and this is Lumbres Mezcal on this episode of Tactical Tequila Podcast with your host, Matt Wilson. If you enjoy the show, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it to your social media platforms. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. Welcome back, everyone. Matt with Tactical Tequila Podcast here. Tonight we have a great show planned for you in Durango's rugged heart. One man stands where generations once stood, hands blackened by fire, eyes fixed on the flame. He doesn't follow recipes, he writes them in sweat and smoke. Lumbres isn't just a brand, it's a rebellion wrapped in tradition, a spirit born from scars and soil. Each roast, each cut, each drop carries the voice of those who refuse to fade. This isn't about mass production or polished labels. It's about keeping the fire alive, one batch, one bottle, and one legacy at a time. This is Lumbres Mezcal, and this is Jose Guardado. Jose, welcome to the show. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Hi. No, thank you for having me over. I was looking forward for this.
Yeah, we first met in LA, and this was the first time that I had ever tried your mezcal was at Sabor y Couture, and I want to say it was the Lamprio that I tried
Mhm.
during the event that I really liked. It was the blue bottle.
Okay, yes, Lamparillo. Yes, you're right.
Yes.
Yep.
So that's the one that I tried, and I really liked it. And I just want to throw some rapid fire questions at you about the brand.
Mhm.
Um, if Lumbres was a weapon, what would it be, and who would you hand it to first?
Um, I would think it would be sort of like a short blade, uh, hammered from I would say volcanic rock. Uh, it's very abundant in Durango. In Durango, we have history for having volcanoes, so it would be what's that material that even in the Aztecs they used to build they used to use to build weapons, obsidian, I believe it's called.
Yes,
So
volcanic stone.
yeah, so in Durango we have a lot of volcanic rocks. As a matter of fact, we use those rocks to cook the agave. So
Okay.
that's what I would create. Maybe something with leather, a little bit of wood, since those are prime materials that you can find locally in my town. Something like that, yeah.
Now, who would you hand the weapon to?
Well, and the reason why I came to this idea is because actually the maestro mezcalero Victor Terrones, he always carries a little knife on the side. And then at first, I used to make fun of him, like, why would you carry a little ass knife? But it becomes very useful for many little details when we're distilling. So he does use it quite often. So I think he would be the one that would actually own it and have it most of the time.
I love that. What would you say the biggest lie that people tell about mezcal is, and how does the brand prove that wrong in every pour?
Well, one of the biggest lies, it can be also that high proofs would burn you. That h- high proofs would be like gasoline. I think that's a big lie, but it's also bad luck for people having bad mezcales. And not bad mezcales, like bad whiskeys, bad tequilas, bad just a bad spirit, period. So,
I
I think that's something that people get surprised, like sometimes I don't even tell people the proof that I'm serving them, and then they get surprised once they hear that, oh, it's at 51. And they're like, oh, really? Like I would never think of this to be 51.
well, and I can tell you that we were starting out with the Sanizo, and it drinks, for lack of better words, very smooth. Like you couldn't tell that it's at the percentage that it is.
Yeah, yeah, and something that it's very special from Durango. And I'm not sure if I mentioned to you, but our agaves are wild. And and we take care of the process, and we make sure we bottle the way we distill. Like we don't dilute, we don't do adjustments. As long as we distill, and it has the right sugars and alcohols, like that's how we bottle it. That's why, like, this one, it's at 49.9, almost 50. And then our Lamparillo, I believe it's 49. Our Salmiana is 48, and then I think our Sotol is 51. They're all different, and to be honest, it's not it wasn't the plan. We just bottle the way we distill, and that's just how we produce them. Like we don't do anything to the liquid. Especially, we wanted to do something special with wild agaves, to where we want people to taste the agave. They're wild agaves. Some agaves are like 15 years old, and I want people to taste them the way they should.
What's the oldest agave that you use?
Well, it varies, and the reason why it's hard to say one exact year is because the normal tradition in Nombre de Dios Durango is that we wait until the agave matures, until the quiote comes out, and that could be after 8 years. So that's why some agaves would show the quiote at 8 years, other ones would show it until 16 years. So it varies. Some sotol plants are like 28 years old. That's how long they take to mature. So it
Oh,
varies, but the basic process for us is waiting for the stalk to come out. That's when we cut it, and we come back for it the next year. So
okay.
so that's the tradition that most of the local mezcaleros do in Durango.
Now, if you had to describe the brand in 3 words that could start a bar fight, what would they be?
Oh, wow. Drink good shit.
I love the transparency with that. What does Mil Hombres do that other brands are too afraid of and or too lazy to do?
We really focus on quality rather than quantity. And it goes back to what I was telling you about, like, we don't we bottle exactly how we distill it on the second time. But by doing that, we also don't produce a lot. We produce really good quality, but we're also sacrificing quantity, which I'm okay with. um and I think that's something that's why you find a lot of mezcales at 40, 42, I mean 38. And the main reason is, a lot of people have the focus on the money rather than the on quality, and that's not our case. Like, we want to make sure, like, people have a good experience drinking what we produce, and they remember our brand for that.
Now, talking about remembering the brand and how it bleeds into legacy. Your family's been making mezcal long before it was deemed as cool. What's one story from those early years that still fuels your fire today?
um it was funny to me. Like, I grew up around agaves, around vinatas. When I was a little kid, we used to play hide and seek around the vinatas, and I never realized that I was just around agaves. I didn't realize that I was, around vinatas when I was a little kid. But going back, to my town after coming here and hearing about mezcales from other states and the quality, and then going back to where I came from, that's when it hit me the special place that it was. So I started appreciate it once I left my town to come to the US. I think that's when it really hit me that we had something really special that is not found everywhere.
Now, when you think of your family name, what does it protect? Is it the craft? Is it the land or legacy altogether?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I mean, for us, the craft. The craft is one thing. Like I just mentioned to you, like we do things with patience. Like we're not trying to produce thousands and thousands of liters. We produce what we can with the amount of time that we can, and we focus on quality. We take care of the little batches that we produce, and we're not in a rush of producing more and more and more. So I think it's a little bit of everything, craftsmanship, family. It's a balance. It's a balance.
Do you remember the first time that you realized that mezcal just wasn't a drink and it was more of your destiny to produce?
Hmm. It started as I got a little older, like I mentioned to you, because for people in my town that have never left the town, mezcal is just it's a thing that everyone sees. It's like lemons here in my local city. It's you see them around, everyone has a tree, they're just lemons. So for the locals in Nombre de Dios, that's how they see mezcal. Just, oh, it's mezcal. Like a lot of people would sometimes make fun of you if they see you with a bottle drinking mezcal. They're like, "Why are you drinking mezcal? Go get a Bud Light." so, so for the local people, you don't appreciate it as much until you see the value that it has outside your little bubble. Once you see how people appreciate that tradition, that has been there for since I remember. I mean, the first history, it shows that we were producing mezcal in my town since the 1500s. So it's been there since then. So um it's how can I say it? It's just that the history's been there, but you don't appreciate it until you get out of there, and then you get exposed to other spirits until you see other things that people consider great, and then you come back, and like me, I went back and I'm like, holy shit! Like we have this wild agaves that some of these wild agaves weighed 800 kilos. Like that's like a monster, and they're wild.
Yeah.
And then you go see the process that everything is done by hand, and you're just basically adding water, spring water from our local areas that we have where the water just comes out of the ground. So you start seeing that, and you really it really hits you like, holy shit, like I never seen this anywhere else but in my town. And that's when it really opened my eyes, like this is something special that people should see, and people should know how it's made, and people should taste it how it should be.
Talking about history, what is it that your ancestors taught you about mezcal that basically can't be written down, only experienced?
uh I think the main uh thing that I learned is like, um it's not really like a recipe. Like I can write down the process of making mezcal, and if you go make it, it's not going to be the same mezcal. It's one of those things that is not just a recipe. It involves the feeling, the passion, the love for every step, because it has many steps. And every step you have to be careful that you do things right. So it goes back to what I was telling you. Like, I know people that have the recipes, but they cannot make a good mezcal. It's just that it's a long process that it carries a lot of passion in many different steps, from the moment you're harvesting, when we're milling with the axe, when we're fermenting. Like sometimes when we're fermenting, if the weather changes and if we're sleeping at home at 2 3 in the morning, we have to go back to the vinata to see how the fermentation is changing. And like that, how do you write that down on a recipe? Like, I think that's something that, the ancestors or older folks from my town have taught us. Like sometimes they see something and it's not on the book. Like for instance, there something that I seen is like some agaves are 16 years old, they're mature, and they never show the quiote. And then, like I ask, I'm like, hey, what's up with this agave? Like it's old. And then they were like, "Yeah, this one is never gonna show a quiote. That's Some of them are born like that, and the way we know it's ready and it's mature, it's by the pencas. They start getting a little flaccid from the side. They start getting loose and it starts coming down. So that's a mature agave. It's just that the quiote will never come out for the weather, for many things. But we have those agaves once in a while. As a matter of fact, we had a lot of those agaves this year, where I don't know if it's the climate change, but a lot of them, the stock never came out. But there were hints and there were signs that there were mature agaves. But only people that have been in my town 50, 60 years know that. So, like, how would you even explain that?
Now, when it comes to that, and I'm guessing the people on your team, the family that you have, they're all well experienced in this.
Yes, yes, but we still learning. The older people that we're learning from, they have more experience, yes, but you always learn. And what makes this tradition and this work fascinating is that you are practicing the same thing over and over. So usually you don't make the same mistakes. It's always, you already know your amounts that you're harvesting. You already know how many liters you would get. So, but there's always something new. Like right now that the climate change is changing. Like sometimes the weather throws you off. And in Durango, our weather is very extreme on both times, during winter and during the summer. So like we always have to take care of the fermentation. During the winter, we cover our bats with blankets, with covers. And then we check on them. We keep checking on them even during the night to make sure they're being activated the way they're supposed to. So we always learn something. We always learn something, and well, one of the experiences I just went through was that this year there were not that many agaves showing the stock. And that's something that, well, there's not universities or people studying this, so only people that have seen many cycles can tell you, well, or give you hints, because they don't have a scientific answer, but they've seen this before. And that's something that we learned this year, that sometimes agaves would not show the stock, the quiote, but they're still mature.
Okay. Now, if Lumbres had a family crest, what symbols would define it and why?
We have one. Uh, we created this one based on the process. That this is our main tool for everything. This is the tool that we use to harvest, to when we're milling, and that's it. This is the main tool that we have. So we wanted to create something that represents the elements for the mezcal, and this is what we came up with.
It's a great logo, and it's on the sample bottles that you sent along with the box. And this is an amazing box. On the back, it has pictures of agaves, and talks a little bit about those agaves. And I know that every agave tells a story, but which agave would you say speaks the loudest in Lumbres, and what would you say that it's saying?
Um, which one? I like them all for different reasons, but I think one that it's not in this case. It's an agave called tepemete, and that agave is I think is the most special agave we have in Durango. The agave at 12 years of age when they mature can be the size of a baseball. So it's a very, very special agave for us. Last year we were only able to produce 16 bottles out
Oh,
of
wow.
yeah. So that agave for us is like in my town. If people tell you you have the pemete, is like wow, like like it's something very special.
So now with it being very special, you would do a special release or limited release with something like that?
Yeah, it would be special and limited release because, like I said, it's very minimal what we can produce with it. I think this year we were able to produce like 60 liters on one batch we have, but I'm more interested in people learning what that is than actually selling it. Like I don't mind holding it. It's been resting for I think like 9 months on glass, but I do want to show people what it is and why it's so special and what it takes to produce 60 liters of, little baseballs that you have to go through the mountains and find them.
Now, talking about that agave, how would you say that the agaves differ in your region character-wise, not just flavor, but attitude in the distillation and fermentation?
It's very special in the sense that even though it's really small, it's concentrated with high sugars, which means like yes, we produce very little, but it's very delicious. It's very delicious to where we never shave it completely. Like you seen the piñas, whenever they get shaped, the pencas get removed and it's just a ball. For the tepemetes, we leave a little bit of the pencas because it has a lot of sugar. So even on the pencas, there's sugar. So even though it's really, really small, it has amazing notes. It has so much expressions.
Okay. And with the wild agaves, should they remain wild, or is there a way that you think you could cultivate them without breaking the spirit of being a wild agave?
I really hope that we can still continue that. Uh, what we have in Durango, that we have wild agaves that we produce, or we harvest wild agaves, but also in the state in Durango we are planting in the wild. The state of Durango and organizations are planting in the wild. Like there's many sections that we go, and there's a lot of agaves being planted, especially this special agave that I was mentioning to you, that is the little one. It's being planted, but in the wild. So I really hope that we all do our part, to help preserve it's something special that Durango has, that all our agaves are wild.
Which agave is the most misunderstood, and what truth do you wish that more people knew about it?
I think I would go back to the one I'm telling you about. This little one, it's an angustifolia. So, for instance, if I tell someone from Oaxaca, hey, like this is our angustifolia from Durango, they'll probably be like, oh, we have millions in Oaxaca. And in Oaxaca they're big, and it's their most used agave that they use for most of their production. Angustifolia espadin. But our angustifolia, it's the most special agave we have in Durango. So I think just that alone, it's a big contrast an angustifolia from Durango than angustifolia from Oaxaca.
Now, I know that, a lot of people refer to mezcal as like liquid smoke. If you could replace the word smoke with anything else in order to describe mezcal, what would it be?
I would call it more of a sacred liquid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. When you light the fire while making your mezcal, what emotion do you feel? Is it pride? Is it pressure, peace, or something else?
It's a little bit of everything, anxiety, uh, excitement. Uh, every batch is always has a new story. So every time you lit up the cocedor to for the new batch, like it's gonna be something different, even with the same agave. Uh, every batch always has a story. Like uh, the last time we produced Almiana, like the truck broke down for 3 days while it was loaded. So that's Almiana lasted like a week after we harvested there, and then we cooked it.
Oh,
And I
wow.
don't know if that helped, but the flavor was different. It was more earthy. Like there were different notes in that lote that we produced. So yeah, every time we lit the fire on, it's a new experience. It's like you're doing everything that you've done, but you don't know the outcome because it's always different.
Do you see mezcal as a science of balance or an art of chaos?
Yeah, I think I see it more as art. I think it's an art that you learn how to you learn how to work with the canvas, but you always come up with a different painting. Like it always has a different character, that painting.
So now, I have moved on to the Lamparillo.
Okay.
Um, Walk me into this expression of mezcal and let the viewers know everything you can about it.
Well, most of the lamparillos that people know, it's very abundant in the zona of the north from Durango called Mapimi. It's the deserted area, and that's where most of the lamparillos grow. The difference with our lamparillo, it's really from Nombre de Dios. It's not really from the desert northern side of Durango, and that makes it a little special in the notes and the characteristics it carries. If I find the one from Mapimi from the north of Durango a little more dried on the notes, and there's still good notes. I just find it a little more different than this lamparillo grows around Nombre de Dios, my hometown, in more of a tropical area rather than a desert. So the notes are very different than the agaves from other regions that they have also lamparillo.
Now, kind of going back to tradition, tradition is sacred in pretty much anything that you do, whether it's just family or mezcal making or tequila making, any spirit making, the tradition is always sacred. But which part of it have you chosen to challenge with the brand?
Um, well, the main challenge that we're having is that present it at the best quality possible, and by doing that, like we're not taking shortcuts. We're actually, it's costing us a little more to bottle it the way we distill it to leave it as clean as possible for people to taste it the way they should. So that has been a challenge. Like for instance, a lot of people tell me like, "Oh, why you're not producing a 40% mezcal?" I'm like, because then what's the purpose of us having wild agaves in Durango and just lower it down with whatever you're lowering it down with? Like it defeats the purpose what we're trying to represent. We're trying to represent that you taste what mezcal sh- should taste like, that you have the experience that you should with a good mezcal. I think that that's the challenge that we have on our shoulders.
You know, talking about that challenge, as global demand grows, do you ever feel torn between the tradition and expanding?
No, I don't. I don't think I feel that pressure. Just like I was mentioning to you, when people tell me like, "Oh, well, how come you don't make a 40% mezcal?" I'm like, "Why would I do that? Like, you drink what we produce. That's how much we got, and that's what it is. If we're sold out, then I'll be happy to have that problem. But I'm focused on giving people a good experience and people to remember us for something great."
I want to move into sustainability. What does sustainability really mean to a mezcalero, and whose family has sustained the land for generations?
Mm, well, it's sustainability. Like, it almost, to me and from where I come from, it's like a new word or new status of many aspects of it. Um, I think if I have to ask, what are you doing to be sustainable? Well, we're trying to understand the balance with agaves, with earth, with our production, with our families. Like, for instance, we're planting agaves, not to call ourselves we're sustainable. We're planting agaves as a responsibility because we use them. So we're planting agaves in the wild, and we're planting it more for the reason of, it's your responsibility. If you're working with agaves, it's not really, you're not being sustainable. It's just, it should be something that we all do. So I think respecting the cycles, and understanding that there's more generations coming, and you want to make sure that these traditions live on, for future generations.
So how do you protect the McGays from both modern exploitation and cultural erosion?
Well, I think that's a little tough. Well, because, for instance, I want to protect it by using it the way it's supposed to, but not overusing it, not abusing it. Like I was telling you, like, I'll never add water to our mezcal just to give someone more mezcal because they want to get more out of it. Um, but at the same time, it's something that it involves the whole community of mezcales. But us, like I was mentioning to you, just respecting, your land, respecting the times, and letting the soil, the land, rest. I think that helps a lot in many ways.
Now, do you see mezcal tourism helping your community, or do you see it more or less hollowing it out?
Um, like, tourism and the fame for mezcal has helped, because now families can make a living off of it. But with that, it also comes, once it becomes a good business, there's always greed. So there's not a one fine answer for that, because the fame, the it comes with both. It does help us. It helps my town to be recognized as one of the oldest towns in Durango, and actually, just in Durango, if you heard a good mezcal from Durango, it usually comes from my town, Nombre de Dios. So the fame does help you and does bring people to our town. But yes, with that, it also brings greed. People that they just want to make a quick dollar, and those individuals are going to be anywhere, wherever they can make that dollar. So
Do you feel? Do you feel that those type of individuals, that are on the greedy side, do you feel like they help or hurt, the mezcal industry?
Well, they do hurt. They do hurt it, because a lot of people would not care how much they sell it for. They would not care where it comes from, and they would sell it no matter where it came from. So eventually, it does hurt the mezcal community.
If mezcal had a code of ethics, what would the first line of this ethical code read?
Well, it would be like mainly respect the agave, honor the land where it comes from, and be patient, for the drops that we sip on.
Now, every mezcal more or less has a fingerprint of its maker. What portion of your fingerprints are in the brand itself?
Well, from the brand, everything. From creating the logo, from creating the bottle, from uh being part of the decisions when we're distilling, when we're fermenting. So I get involved in, and I've been involved into everything that Mi Lumbres is. But obviously, like when it comes to distillation, our maestro mezcalero Victor Terrones, he makes also big decisions. But I've been the one that have touched every single step of everything that the brand is.
Now, as you mentioned this, how do you honor your ancestors and still continue to build a name for yourself within the industry?
Well, for my ancestors, I think the last person that was in the business of mezcal was my grandma. She's now 90, and she was doing accounting for her dad when she was 16. So from my mom's side, she's the one that stay a little bit in the industry, or her relatives, uncles, cousins, were the ones that are still involved in it. So I think the way I'm presenting the brand and the way we're working, it's a very different way. Like for instance, we're not just selling it locally, like, which is something that my family has done, and their whole history. We didn't go with the simple bottle, and the reason behind the bottle was because we knew we were gonna have small batches, and we were gonna have the quality the way people should taste it, and we wanted to present it the best way possible. So even my whole family now are surprised of how far, we are with the brand, even though we're barely starting to be here in the US. But I don't think anyone in our family has gone as far as where we are now, that, we're presenting outside of Mexico, outside of Durango.
Where are you currently in the States?
California. Here, I'm
Okay.
35 minutes away from LA, and the city called Upland.
Okay. Are you guys at Old Town Tequila? What stores are you in?
We're in no stores. Uh,
Okay.
we introduced the brand, I think, on June of this year, last year. Yeah, last year we introduced the brand, but to events. They send me cases to present the brand, to have tastings, and to do things like that. And the all the legal paperwork and everything in Mexico took like 2 years. Because this project it's like, we started this project in 2018. So from where I started to where I am now, it's a very different environment. When I started in 2018, I thought, my relative was gonna produce mezcal for me. I was gonna go to Durango, pack it, send it to the US, and I was gonna sell it here. As I got more involved into the processes, into looking at everything, like, we didn't connect with the vision we had. And that's when I went and decided to do everything. So we own the distillery. We do the whole process from harvesting to bottling to deciding, like where we're gonna go harvest agaves. We make the decisions of everything. That's why, like, whatever you're drinking, I can show you a picture of fermentation, cooking, anything, because we're the producers, and we do everything from harvesting until it gets to the US. But that has made us our process really long, and for that reason it has taken us even longer. Usually something that takes you 2 years, it has taken us, like 6 years. But we're pretty excited that we have everything ready to do our first importation. Like, we already have a license to import and to distribute. It just happened that the government shut down. So otherwise, I would be telling you that we have product in stores by now. But we're still in a really good place, and we're really excited for all the great things that are coming for us.
Now, outside of the government shutdown, once everything, and I think it just reopened up until the 30th of January, which I expect we'll probably have another shutdown at that point. But until then, what is your expectation as far as getting product into the States? And is it just going to be located in California at the moment?
Well, I think I'm already talking with other importers and distributors. um like I said, going to all these events, like where I met you, like Sabor y Cultura, Salud Amigos. Those events have been really great for us because we connect with people from other states, and then other people get to taste what we have, get to see the presentation we have. I let them know our story, like our process, how everything in Durango is different than other states. So I've been connecting with people in other states, in Colorado and Arizona and New York. So it's really a matter of time, that we're gonna have everything ready, and we'll be able to move to other places, so other people can taste our sacred liquid.
Talking about tasting your sacred liquid, do you taste your labor? Do you taste your land, or is it the lineage that you taste when you are drinking Milumbres?
Oh, it's everything. It's everything, especially when you're there working. You're tasting the hard ass labor that you go through. During the summer it's hot as hell, and you're there next to the fire. Like, it's a lot of work involved, and then you're there working with the team. And whenever you're doing the second distillation, it's like, I feel like whenever you're in the hospital, and you're waiting for the baby, and the first drop in the bucket, and you taste it, and it's like, how is it? How is it? Is it good? How do you like it? Is it better than the previous one? So it's a very magic moment, that you go through. But also, like when I'm here in the US and then I taste it, like the sotol brings me all those earthy notes that I get from my hometown. So they hit me different. It depends when I'm drinking them, but sotols, when I'm here, like, it reminds me a lot of my hometown.
And as you mentioned, hitting you different. If Mezcal was a song, what genre would Melumbres play? And would it be blues, corridos, or something else entirely?
No, I think a little bit of everything. Because I play all kinds of music. Like, yes, I play corridos. But I also like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin. So it just depends on the mood. But like, I can listen to Mana, rock in Spanish, and drinking mezcal. So I never been like a specific genre music guy. So, like, if you listen to my playlist from the gym, it's like it has from Tupac to Andrea Bocelli, so like I listen to all music.
That's definitely a wide range for sure.
Yeah, I play. I don't have like a specific playlist. Like I like to throw random songs to playlists.
Moving on, what would you say outsiders still don't understand about the emotional cost of being a mezcalero?
I think the labor, the labor that goes through it, and how it's hard to produce something that takes so long, and then sell it at the right price that people valuate it, like people appreciate it as much as you. uh s- since you see all the work, you see how you start, you appreciate it because you're there 23 days from the moment you start until you're sipping the first mezcal. It takes between 23 to 28 days. So a lot of people, and I don't know, I don't think it's their fault. It's just that a lot of people are not familiar with the process. They're not familiar with, you know, where do you go to get the agaves? How long does it take you to bring the agaves? Like, like how many nights or hours do you spend distilling? Like, when it's really hot at night, when it's really cold at night. I think those are just things that as a brand owner, I think it's our responsibility to kind of show people why they're drinking good quality and what it takes to produce good quality.
When you're alone at night, surrounded by the scent of roasted agave, which is amazing. If you've never smelled roasted agave, it is to me, one of the best smells out there. And so when you're sitting there and you're alone at night and you're surrounded by this smell, what truth hits you the hardest?
Um, I don't know, like you said, it's almost like a magical place because like even when you're not producing agave, I mean when you're not producing mezcal, you close your eyes and it still smells like the mezcal is there even when there's no agaves being cooked or anything. So the place, it's special because there's nothing really mechanical. There's nothing around the vinata that it has like a let's say a value other than that's what you use to produce the magic. So I think that more than anything.
As you talk about magic and how that smells and in the experience, what do you want your grandchildren to say when they pour their first Lumbres?
Well, I hope they know the process, number one, that they know where it comes from, that they know how long it takes to produce it, and the hard work that it's involved in producing it.
If mezcal had a spirit in it, what would you want Milumbres to embody and why?
Maybe like a jaguar. I know we have jaguars around the north side of Durango. Um, I think they're very attractive animals. They they're very silent animals, and they blend in nature. Um, yeah, I think a jaguar.
Okay. Now I'm moving on to the sotol now. Go ahead and describe the sotol.
Well, I don't want to describe it. I want to know what do you think of it, or what
Okay.
do you want me to describe about it? But I don't want to tell you what you should taste. I don't like to tell people what they should taste. Like I think we all have different experiences, different likes that it makes us take a different perspective on things.
So with this, I get a light nose to it. I get the cooked agave. of a very light smoke scent to it, very subtle. Now on my palate, I get that earthiness that you were talking about earlier. A little bit of a peppery finish, but it's very subtle on the peppery finish for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a little bit of at times I get a little dirt, a little
See
grass.
on now see on the back end, and after I've let it, just kind of linger on the backside of my tongue, I can see the earthy soilness that you're describing there.
And that's why it reminds me of my hometown, because like you're always around dirt and around rivers, big trees, and every morning that I do my walks around the town, like it reminds me of that, the sotol. It reminds me of the walks I do around my hometown.
Now I will say, after sampling all four of these, I would say probably my favorite is going to be the Lamperio,
Okay,
then the Cenizo, then the Salmiana, and then the Sotol. And when we met in LA, it was very similar to this order as well. When you had me try all of your expressions there, I would say that the Sotol, it starts to grow on you as you sip on it, but I wouldn't say that it's my favorite. I would definitely go pretty much. I would say these two are tied for one. This would be my second, and then this would be a third.
nice. That's good. No, good, good. Yeah, it's. I never like to tell people like what they should taste like because we have a different palate, and for the same reason, because everyone finds a favorite. Some mezcales the characteristics of each plant are very different. So like people always tell me different crazy notes that they find on each one, and they're all good, because we come from different experiences with foods and seasonings and things like that. So
Well, and even just after you swallow down the sotol and you just kind of just like have that lingering kind of like aftertaste, like I said, it starts to grow on you more.
yeah,
And I want to say I feel like it's that earthiness, like it just starts to kind of just more like explode.
yeah,
Like it just becomes more prevalent in your mouth, that you feel like the earthiness.
yeah. Yeah, I think this one and the Salmiana are the ones like we can say they have the strongest personality or characteristics and notes because like you get the experience right away, like, and it stays there longer too. Like if you smell your glass with the sotol after you're done, you would still get the essence and notes even though the sotol is gone.
When the last ember dies out and the batch is done, what keeps you coming back to do it all again?
That it's always gonna be a different story. There's gonna be a different experience, and everything changes. Everything changes with the same process that has been done for more than 100 years. That's what makes it very special, very unique. That every time we distill, it's different. Like I remember on my birthday we were distilling Lamparillo that usually we cook it, we put it on the side so the guys later on or tomorrow can start doing the milling process with the axe. We usually leave it there for a day or two until they get to it, right? And in January, we got this lamparillo that that it had a lot of sugar. Like the agaves were just dripping a lot of sugar. So when we got them out of the oven and we laid them down on the floor on one side, and they were gonna stay there like 2 days. It was just dripping a lot of sugar underneath, like the sugar was just coming out of the agaves, and we're like, "Oh shoot! Like we need to remove whatever we got right now, and that's next, so that way we don't waste any of that sugar." And that lamparillo is very special. It came out different than all of them. So going back to that question is like every time we do a lote, a little production, something would be different. Something would be different, and that's the excitement you get every time you get back to it.
So I asked this question to a lot of brand owners, and even on the law enforcement security side. But you're 6 feet in the ground, or if cremation is your thing, then you're cremated. What do you want your legacy to be summed up in one sentence when you're gone?
That they can remember me for doing good work, good quality work, good mezcal.
Okay. Now, where can everyone find you on social media?
Our social media is Mezcal Mi Lumbres, and usually you send us a message if you're interested in our brand. Like I can send you samples, or hopefully by the time someone reaches out to me, like we can ship bottles and yeah, at Mezcal Mi Lumbres.
Perfect. Well, Jose, I appreciate your time and I thank you for being on the show. I appreciate the samples and we'll definitely enjoy these tonight and, in the future.
No, thank you for having me over. It was a pleasure. Really, thank you for spending your time and hearing me.
No, I love your story.
Nice. All right, I'll take that.
All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good night.